Welcome to B2B No Bull.
That's right, no double speaker gibberish, no talking heads. This is a safe place to talk about what you as professionals in the space can do to look like heroes to your bosses, make sales very happy, bring success to the organization, and that bottom line. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of B2B No Bull. I'm Liz Brohan, and I'm here with my brother, Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
There you go. No bull, I guess. Today, you could probably even imagine that it's Brohan to Brohan, because what we're going to discuss is we're going to have an expert on this topic about why B2B marketers in particular have such a difficult time selling into the boss. And I think we're going to throw sales into that mix as well, right? You know, because sometimes we have a hard time getting our points heard and acted on in the sales department as well. So what I wanted to start off with, as long as we're talking about our flaws as marketers, Mark, tell me, what do you think you suck at?
Everything. But if I had to pick one thing in this topic, it's reading the room. I mean, I would get excited about something in my mind. I'm perfectly planned it, ready to execute it, and I can't read the CEO for that day, for that hour, for that moment. Is he ready? Is she not ready? Is it time to do something? Do I wait? So I've always been extremely bad at picking the right time to not get marketing off the ground when I think things are rolling about to roll out beautifully. So
I think Cyndi will have a few things to say about that. And, you know, I'll just pile on for a minute because I'll be honest, I think one of the things that I suck at is keeping ahead of technology, or just even keeping my head above water when it comes to marketing technology. Honestly, it's beyond FOMO now. It's really kind of turned into, oh no, oh, here it comes again, and am I going to understand it, and how am I going to implement it? So those are some of the things that I think we all struggle with.
Is there an FYI to that FAQ? Might be. I don't know.
I think he's calling my bullshit on all the acronyms. Anyway.
This is going to be a phone one.
Yeah. Our guest today doesn't suck at anything.
No.
Stop.
So I want to introduce all of you to Cyndi Greenglass. Cyndi Greenglass is someone I have known and respected for quite a long time. And let me tell you just a little bit about her, okay? So Cyndi has seen it all, you know, and that's what I love about her. She is currently president of Livingston Consulting Strategies, which is a data-informed strategic consulting service, and they specialize in performance-based marketing. She's also been, or is, quite honestly, an adjunct instructor, right? With the West Virginia University, where she got her MBA, and she's teaching marketing research and analytics. And listen to this part, folks. She's doing it for the Department of Defense through their information school as part of their master's IMC program. And I'm like, dang, girl, that's pretty intense. She is also the host of her own podcast called Marketing Horizons, so please check that out. And she's on the board of directors of Honors Flight Chicago, which is very admirable, very lovely. And, you know, like I said, she's seen it all and kind of been listed on all the great lists. She has been named, you know, on almost all of the best of lists throughout her career, including 20 Women to Watch and Sales Lead Management. So anyway, Cyndi, welcome, and tell us how we can do a better job at all this.
Well, thank you for that very robust introduction, Liz. And hi, Mark. Thank you for having me on your show. Honestly, while I do tend to say I'm humble and kind and think that's my motto, I truly do suck at a lot of things. And that's because I failed at a lot of things. I think we don't find out what we're good at if we're not willing to find out what we're not good at. And so hopefully through our conversation here, we're going to talk about how us communicators and B2B marketers can, get better at things that we have to just admit we suck at.
Yeah, so let's kind of start there. Why is it that we have such a hard time selling into our own organization or selling in to our sales teams? Is it because we're always in such a bad mood? Is it because we're not appreciated and we're relegated to doing sell sheets? And what we really want to do is contribute to business strategy and put together winning campaigns. What's our fault?
Well, since this is the B2B No Bull, let's just put it on out there. Simply put, B2B marketers, this is mostly our fault.
There you go.
For professionals that are in the communications business, we are very poor at internal communication. We often speak to ourselves and each other, but we aren't prepared to speak the language of business or speak the language of the other people. And as a result, we fail to be heard in a way that is meaningful for us to be seen and get a seat at the table. So why is that? I don't think that we're in a bad mood. I think that sometimes we fail to do heavy lifting to understand what really matters to the audience in the room, which, shame on us, since this is our job, is to understand audiences and what motivates them and intent. And then we get in the room, like Mark was saying, failure to read the CEO. We have a failure to communicate with the people that are often the most important. Now, sales is a whole different topic. We'll get into that a little later.
Well, just out of curiosity, you make such valid points there, but does it roll downhill? I mean, is that the CMO's job to set the tone, the communication strategy for internalizing what needs to be done and when, so the sales team comes out with what they need to go out and get the business for the organization?
Clearly, I do believe that the leadership starts at the very top, which is above the CMO. We need to align our internal teams, whether that's sales or marketing and B2B, with what are we trying to solve? What is the goal? And that we are all rowing in the same boat. And that comes top down. So I don't want to slough off our responsibility in marketing. But if we're not aligned, both sales and marketing, then we're going to have a lot of that internal infighting that we tend to do. And, we'll jump all over, but, we're great communicators and persuasive when we want to be. And yet we have to understand that salespeople are the best persuasive communicators. And, when we can't be in competition with the sales team. That's just a losing proposition. And yet we either try and compete with sales or we feel intimidated or a little of the Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect.
Well, you're right about top down. One of our previous guests a couple episodes ago was Barry Litwin. And this guy's run billion-dollar B2B organizations and a couple of retail chains. And he was spot on, wasn't he, Liz, about the old Truman expression, the buck stops here. And he was giving 8 to 9 strategies about how the CEO has to set the tone for everything you just talked about.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but then, so as a marketer and having been in marketing departments, what role should we all be playing to get the information that we need to talk their language, make sure that we understand their KPIs, make sure we understand their business goals, gathering all of that information and then being able to articulate it? And I get it that, I would love it if it all came from the CMO, but who else's responsibility is it to kind of get out there, and where do they get this information?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to take us way back to when we all were in school somewhere. Most of us who ended up marketing is not where I started my journey. Marketing has ended up, I'm a data-informed marketer. I love data, and that's been my thing. But most of us didn't start out saying, I want to be in marketing. Or perhaps if you did, you may have chosen it because you didn't like math. Right?
Oh, you know us well.
We're afraid of it. I mean, this is no bull. Like many of us said, I'm going to go into this other side of the business because I don't like numbers. I don't like math. I'm afraid of it. I'm a great communicator. I like to talk. I like to listen. I like to be with people. So we didn't do some of those basic things in our growth years of understanding accounting, math, and what drives business. So we are afraid. We got a little of that imposter syndrome going on, but more than that, because we don't have the foundational language for that communication, we end up talking in terms that people who are business and salespeople who understand it because they're very motivated and driven by results don't see us being very thoughtful about the language that drives business. So what do you need to do? If you haven't done a basic stats course, you don't understand the math of how your business operates, it behooves you to figure it out. So how do you figure that out? Go talk to your accounting department. Find a friend. I say if you're in, I can talk to anybody.
That's a
I'm
great
not afraid.
idea.
I'll
I'd
talk
never
to
thought to
anybody.
do that.
So I'll go and sit in the CFO's office, which is what I've done, and sit across from the CFO and say, can I get some of your time? And ask the question, I want to understand how we measure the business. Talk to me about what matters. And the first thing the CFO said to me when I did that the first time, he was like, a marketing person who wants to understand the business? Wow, how novel is that?
I thought we just wanted to win awards.
Well, that's what many people in the business think, doesn't it? So what do you do when you go? If it's not the CFO, it's a controller, it's somebody in the accounting department, and say, teach me what matters. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable and ask the questions. What's internal rate of return? Why do I care? What's take rate? What are these things on the balance sheet? Show me a balance sheet. If you've never seen your company's balance sheet, which many of us in large organizations have not, ask them, would you show it to me and walk me through it? You'd be astonished how helpful people in accounting want to be when you express to them, you're the expert. I'm not, but boy, I sure would like to learn.
I love that. And I think you should take them some cookies too. Grease the wheels.
So a couple things here. There's often insufficient understanding, as you're mentioning here, of what the business goals are, and a failure on our part as marketers to go to the people that can teach us the skill set we need to accomplish things. So if we as marketers don't understand the boss's priority, KPIs, or broader business objectives, then we're doomed from the get-go. So whose responsibility is it to get that information? Where do they get it from? Verify it, and then how do you boil it all down into a compelling pitch?
Well,
there'll be a quiz later, by the way.
Yeah,
So.
you can unpack
Honestly,
all that and start wherever you want, Cyndi.
Well, I would say, like, who's responsible? Well, I think we have to start with, we are all responsible for our own behavior, our own development, and our own ability to move forward with whatever our roles are and whatever we've been chartered with. But let's say we started at the beginning. It says, do I understand how I fit into the larger objectives of the business? Do I understand what my role is and how I am moving that forward? Even the smallest cog has to fit into the entire wheel, or the machine doesn't work. So I'd say the responsibility always starts with us. And what we have to do is stop whining and looking at other people to be responsible for us and motivating us to do what we can. So, no bull, right? So take responsibility for what we have and go out there and learn some of it. Talk to the CFO, talk to someone accounting. What else do we need to know? We have to figure out what are the KPIs of the business.
Yeah.
Your CMO or somebody in your marketing, your supervisor, must be able to share with you, what does success look like for us in marketing? And what is success going to look like for me to contribute to that? How can I? And am I actually doing something that I can say aligns with what success looks like, that my boss is going to be measured on? Because if I don't make my boss look good, and I can't help my boss explain how they are contributing to success, then I'm failing. So let's start there. Whose responsibility is it? It's yours.
Yep.
Whose next responsibility is it? The person that you want to engage with as your coach or your helper.
Okay, so you've got me totally motivated. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do a listening tour with accountants and CFOs and anybody else that will talk to me. So now I've gained a little knowledge. How dangerous am I? I'm going to go back. Yeah, I'm going to put together a marketing plan and a deck and talking points. And gee, Cyndi, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong is that you don't run it by the sniff test. Have someone, everybody needs to have some coaches internally in the organization. And they should be people not in your area of expertise or in your marketing silo, but other people, and say, let me run by this and poke holes in it. Does this make sense to you? If I'm going to say these are important KPIs, are they? If I'm going to make some assumptions and put myself out there, who can I run this by? Sometimes in the business, the best person also to find before you get out there and present, you need a nervous Nelly, as I call them, which is somebody who is rather thoughtful and willing to kind of work with you, but they're anxious and they'll, be making sure that you don't misstep. Okay, listen to that person just in case there's something that you don't want to share. But find the person who is always the naysayer. Find the outspoken person who you think is going to be the one that will poke holes in what you have to say when you get in front of people in that presentation or when that is circulated or populated. Because if you can get those obstacles out front or the questions out front and have that naysayer said, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. Wait, where'd you get that? You can be prepared, and you can also diffuse some of that up front.
Yeah, it's that old adage, right? Trust and verify.
Yes.
I mean, I've been in presentations, internal presentations, right, where I'm presenting numbers, and somebody will say, well, where did you get that? And I'll be able to say, well, I got it from you. So as long as you know your information and know where you got it and can quote your sources, there's less danger out there.
Is this a 70s man? I mean, if we're talking Spiro Agnew, circa 72, what we're saying here is find the nattering nabob of negativism. If you can do Reykjavik 84, I can do Agnew 72. So.
Okay, then fine.
Okay, but Ronald Reagan wasn't wrong. Well, of course, we all know that's actually a Russian proverb
there she goes again.
That he borrowed. But let's talk about presenting data, okay? Because this is what happens. We're really compelled now. We understand we have to have metrics, we have to have KPIs. And what do? Okay, we go and we spew all this data out, and the boss's eyes glaze over, and everybody else at the table, or everybody else's eyes glaze over and go, okay, what's the point of what we're getting at? Now we've gone the other way, right? We're so anxious to prove ourselves that we overdo it. Avinash Kachek says, don't puke your data on me when you're sitting in a presentation.
I love that.
So, and how I interpret that is we're too lazy to interpret it. We just want to throw it all out there and let somebody else figure out what it means. Or we're so anxious because we've spent so much time getting that data right that we just share data. The most important thing is, what does it mean and why do I care? Now, if they say, okay, where did that come from? You've got lots of supporting documentation and reporting you can, speak to, but, don't puke, be informative, be insightful.
And tell a story. And I know that sounds trope,
Tell a meaningful
but
story with your data. Yes.
But that leads to an interesting point here, which is while most marketers listening to our podcast here might be thinking in terms of what motivates sales, which is lead gen, conversions, we should also talk about the importance of retention in this fact-finding proposal scenario. And this leads right back to your key point about data. So what data should marketers be looking at, and who do they need to bribe internally to get their hands on
it? Okay. Well, what's so interesting is we are all motivated by the shiny object. And that's why acquisition tends to get all that attention, and it also tends to get a larger share of the budget. Acquisition always sounds better and looks better. New customers brought on, new business, new installs, new markets. Okay. And that is sales' job, right? Is focused on the new shiny object, which is absolutely essential to our business. So what we forget about is that, 80% of our business for many of us can come from our existing customers. And so retention is often the neglected part and doesn't get the appreciation it deserves. So let's think about what are the metrics by which retention needs to be measured. And as a result, what can we do to move the needle? So retention, believe it or not, can be tied directly to financial metrics. So this goes directly to a nice conversation you can have with someone in accounting and with somebody in the business that says, how important is retaining and growing our internal base? If we were to lose 10% of our base of business, what would that do? What would the impact to the business be? Okay, so let's talk about retention in terms of financial. What does loyalty mean for the business? Are we talking cross-sell and upsell, or are we strictly talking about maintaining our install? Once we understand that, we can say, who do we go to get that information? Your customer service, for sure. Your CSAT, statistics. Are you doing net promoter score, or what are you using in order to rank order how you're doing in customer service? How can we as marketers have influence over there? And when it comes to retention, I believe we should be looking at incrementality. How are we incrementally helping to either maintain our retention rate or fight attrition? If you have a Salesforce, HubSpot, or similar tech platform, sorry, Liz, I know that that's the technology side of it, but if you have a platform, can you find somebody who can give you a little, like, get in the passenger seat and let them drive? And let's see what's in there. What is your retention rate right now? What are we doing? What do we have in place to measure that? Use your chatbot reports. Chatbots have amazing amounts of intelligence in there. You're listening that we're doing, our online and social media listening. All of this can help us with our retention. And then lastly, because I'm really passionate about this, I'm so glad, Mark, you asked the question. Look for what you don't expect. Think about this in a relationship. When you're in a relationship, you communicate all the time, you do things, you're active. When you stop going to that restaurant that you used to go to every month, when you stop communicating, you are losing that person or that relationship. Your business-to-business customers do the exact same thing. When they start engaging less, when they start transacting less, when they start doing what you are used to seeing their behavior, you have a problem. And that's what we as marketers should be looking at.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you can find that, and it's not necessarily an aha moment, right? It's just
Right.
finding something that maybe everyone in the room is going to find a little unexpected. We can leverage that information. No doubt about it. And I'm just going to tell you that the good news is I do understand CRM technology. Yay for me.
Of course you do.
Just one of a few.
No, you understand a lot more. You're humble as well, Liz.
But anyway, so as now we're really getting our points across. I'm feeling confident. Where is all of this supposed to lead? Is marketing just supposed to kind of sit back and pat themselves on the back because they now can understand data and they can present it with insight? And then what are we proposing we do with that data? Because I don't want to go back to making sell sheets.
Well, there is a valuable role for, being able to do sell sheets for those people who do them.
Yes.
But I think now you have to figure out how to get involved with the sales, whether that's sales and retention, upsell, cross-sell, or whether that's part of the outbound sales. Because many of us may not want to accept the fact that in our organizations, marketing is in the service of sales. And when we complain about it, that doesn't do us any good, because the farther we get away from the customer and the farther we get away from something that's measurable, the less value we bring. So, we say everyone sells. Everyone in the organization sells. Marketing is absolutely should be hand in glove with the sales. So what are we going to do? We have to link ourselves to activities that move the sales process forward, whether that's a flywheel, whether that's your funnel, wherever it is. I don't know what the organization is using, but we all go through, whether it's AIDA, we all have a process we follow to move people through from who we are, do I want to do business with you, or I want to not lose you as a customer. Tie yourself to that and create content and create actionable deliverables that are tied to those results. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I was just going to add on that another place to concentrate is to understand the customer experience. We're seeing a lot of marketers really kind of lean into what is the experience? What's the end-to-end experience that our customers are having with our organization? Because we want to make it stickier. We want to make it sexier. And I think those are some of the outcomes that we can also bring to the table with data that backs it up. That, hey, we lose them here when they, don't fulfill purchasing what's in the cart, right? There's all sorts of maybe unexpected moments in the customer experience that we can take a look at.
Absolutely. And as we know with B2B, so often we don't know what those potential customers are thinking or doing until they hit our radar, where they ask for something or they engage with us. And, the statistics on how far down the decision pipeline those people are when they finally get on our radar is really quite shocking. So the customer experience or the prospect experience about what are they doing before they reach us. So that's why we have to be our audiences at all times in the front end of that, and making the case for that is very compelling.
Well, I've been an e-commerce journalist for 25 years, going back to the very beginning of Amazon. And so there is a generational shift underway in B2B marketing tied to Liz's comment about the user experience. Marketers flat out are having a tough time figuring out the shifting demographics, the shifting generational metrics, and more importantly, these B2B buyers, these younger B2B buyers, they want self-service, and they are looking at your website 3 months earlier before they even think about making a transaction. That's how far that goes. And if you're not there with an omni-channel or a cross-channel or a unified commerce experience, you're not going to sell it, whether you're marketing, sales, or all the folks in between.
That's a great point, Mark. Absolutely. And now look at what's happening with search. Now we're not talking about SEO and SEM. Now we're talking about answer search. They're not searching, it's answer marketing. People want the answer when they're out there on the internet. They don't want to search. So think about how we as marketers need to adjust all of what we're doing online so that when that prospect or customer is out there 3 months, 6 months ahead, they're getting an answer includes us.
One of the metrics, very quickly, Google this week actually is beginning to lose natural search market share to chatbots because people are finding that AI and chatbots are giving them more targeted answers faster than Google. And that is something marketers need to keep an eye on. Forrester Research just had a big report on that this week that we did something on. So something else to keep in mind.
I think you've both just hit on our next episode. Cyndi, Cyndi, I think we're going to have you back, and I think we're going to have to really dive in and explore answer marketing and look at all the research that Mark just brought up and look at your insights and help marketers kind of stay ahead of this. Because like I said at the beginning, all of this comes at us so fast. So let alone what we've done today is get everybody, talking the same languages and being impactful from a business perspective. But now there's a lot more to unpack, right? And I think we just discovered it.
In the meantime, don't puke your data. So
Don't puke your data, and realize that we live in wonderful times as marketers. This is a great time to be in our profession. So
Best,
all kidding aside.
best line ever. Yeah, I think you win that prize today, Cyndi. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And I'd like to tell all of our listeners who our best sponsors are ever. We'd like to thank Embas. Embas is a marketing communications consulting firm that specializes in change management, content development, and marketing strategy. And we'd also like to thank The Motion Agency. The Motion Agency has just been ranked the number 2 fastest growing B2B marketing agency in the country. And congratulations to them, and I hope you all will take a solid look at them when you need some marketing support. So thank you all again. Thank you, Cyndi. I hope all of you will find us wherever you get your podcast and check us out on YouTube. And until then, we just want to say, keep it real.
and yes, there will be math on the test. So.
Rats.